I'm there and he loves me and he's providing for me. That's all that matters because I'm doing the same thing. I'm loving him and taking care of him and being for him. That does not remove me from having any rights.
That's such a beautiful love story. I love hearing about love. I love love.
You love love?
Yeah, if you don't mind me asking, what's your pronoun?
Read the profile and you'll know. Read my profile and you'll know.
Hold on.
Freebank, it's the first time I see you. I don't know you. What's your name? Rudy? Rudy Desliz?
What? My name's Freebank. Yeah?
What's up, my friend? Who is this?
Okay, now comedian that I don't like. You're not the first time. You may be the first time in this name, but you're not the first time in my room bothering me. You want to speak?
I think
I want to speak. Oh my god, why don't you
Yeah, I can wait until all these other awesome people have spoken, Dr. Ramos.
Why do you
Ramos, are you this?
Okay, make noise, corruption, speaking, shouting. Much
I
as
like
you want.
Sam's.
You
I
like
want
Sam's?
coexistence now.
דבר בעברית, מה אתה משחק לו אותה?
I don't know what the fuck this guy just said, but Amos, you can ignore him. You don't have to talk to him.
Pay attention.
I said I wanted coexistence now.
We don't need to be toxic. What is this behavior?
Ignore him. Who's this?
Why? Because I speak in Hebrew, so you will ignore me?
Oh my god, just ignore him. Oh, shut the fuck up. You're annoying.
Why would you ignore me? Do you know me personally?
Shut up.
No, why would I shut up?
Shut up, you're annoying. Your voice is annoying.
Why is my voice annoying? Because you don't like it, so I need to shut up. It's called bullying.
I want coexistence now.
If I want to speak, I will speak. I don't ask you what I'm going to do.
Shut the fuck up and let me talk to Amos, motherfucker.
Excuse me, Amos, can we have coexistence, please, now?
Yes, can you kick Daniel out, Amos? Kick him.
Why would you kick me? You know me for 3 years.
Doesn't matter.
You don't. Oh, I see. You have the Free Palestine in your profile. That's why you don't like me.
Of course, what the fuck did you think they have? Free Israel, you bitch?
Of course, I love Israel. This is my country.
Free you from what, you bitch? Free you from Zionism.
Free you from Hamas and send your asses back to Jordan where you all belong, inside of Jordan, which is the real Palestine.
Oh, this comedian is a fucking bitch, Amos. You have to get rid of him. He's actually on some magic kind of shit, bro. Oh no.
What's your problem? Why do you speak so much? Good. Why do you speak so much?
You're lucky that I'm even in
You
this.
seek attention. What's your problem? Thank you.
Did you kick him?
Oh, phew, we finally have coexistence, thank God.
Well, he was annoying.
I never kick anyone.
They left at their own free will? That's great news!
Amos?
No.
Amos is meditating to the Shabbos candles.
Hold on, I'm trying to say a sentence, please. מה הבעיה של הפלסטיני הזה שהיה פה? הוא מתנהג ככה תמיד? וואלה, אנשים פה חוצפנים. אבל הייתי פה 3 חודשים.
Why not work on being a better Christian?
And what is a good Christian? Because we have a different definition of good and bad. We have a total more compass, you and I.
Why are you...
Good Shabbos, everyone!
What define good Christian? Define good before we go to good Christian, because we have a different understanding of what
No, see, this...
No, I want you to answer. No, please, man. I can't do that question, no.
Yeah, to that question, no.
What do you mean?
Yeah, so that's the question you just asked. Did he say no to that question? And I say yes to that question? The answer is no.
So what happened then?
What happened was you asked the question, and we offered 2 different answers to your question. Like
Didn't I just say that?
No,
You said no.
No, hold on. Each of us offered 2 answers, right? So
Yes, and he said yes, and you said no.
You work through this, bro, or should we just wait for King? Because we could just wait for King, bro.
King, you know.
To commit murder in front of witnesses. So, like, if I wanted to kill Timothy, I wouldn't do it in a place where there's 10 people around because that'd likely put me in jail. So unless you think the person is totally indifferent.
But you're talking about generally what people, how people kill. You don't know that either. I can tell you that.
Yeah,
some murderers enjoy.
It's a very small subset of people that are like criminally insane that will just.
Yeah, but he got away. He can get away with it.
That were completely indifferent to going to jail, and then those people would not.
Yes, so I had a response to that. I wanted to give before this.
But Audrey, the other thing is that the reason why the can't breathe thing is like not relevant is because he was screaming "I can't breathe" like 100 times before they even touched him. So there's a bit of a cry wolf.
Wait. Are you saying this based on what?
I watched the full video.
But I did too. He didn't say I can't breathe. He said I can't breathe before that.
Okay, well now you're just okay. Well, I'll bet you $1,000 you did. You want to bet me $1,000?
No, show me. I want you to. You don't have to tell me, but show me. Link me the video.
Would you like to bet me $1,000?
This power of individual initiative exemplified on a small scale, but on a large scale in the case of the leaders of history. It is only following the common sense method of a lie of Darwin.
Okay, but let's say you're right. Okay, let's say
yes or no. It's fine. You can say yes or no.
No. I say no because I haven't seen one video where he actually said this before he hit the ground. I've only seen the police officer was commenting on the dollar bill, and he was actually saying, "Are you on drugs?" He claimed that he was on drugs. Like Floyd himself said no. Then they continued.
There is a way that can happen with a policeman. Like you often have to hold people down. That police often get away with it. He quickly wrote a report saying, "Oh, there is fentanyl, you consume fentanyl," and often you would get away with it because it's not like suddenly found someone in the city center and stabbed them. We were restraining them, we were doing this and stuff like that. So we have this intention to do that, make it look like, oh, he just died because of his health. So to get away with that, so it's something that can't be done. It's not as absurd that why would you murder someone?
Yeah, but at least you get away with it because it's plausible deniable, then I agree that makes it more. That makes it more within the realm of possibility.
Okay, but let's say he when he was standing up.
Wait, really quick.
I'm sorry. But I swear it'll take 2 seconds. Okay, even if you didn't, okay, let's say you said, while standing up, I can't breathe. You honestly, are you doing your job by putting your leg on my neck in that instance? Like, come on, like, logic thinking.
Okay, alright, we go. Alright. But he was convicted of second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter. Now, the third-degree murder charge, voluntary and intentional killing that occurs without premeditation or intent to kill, which is a hilarious way to
Wait, no intent to kill is part of manslaughter? There's no intent to kill?
He was convicted of both third-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter and second-degree unintentional.
Yeah, a lot of jurisdictions don't have third-degree murder if it's in manslaughter.
A lot of jurisdictions don't have third-degree murder because they think it's very close to, if not equivalent to, manslaughter.
Oh, okay.
But but third-degree murder, as far as whatever. Sully read the thing. I'm not gonna.
It's basically like the premeditation isn't there, but it's like voluntary manslaughter.
I think, let me just make this point as well. The one that I thought was established was that it was his actions that killed him directly, rather than, he had so much fentanyl he was going to die anyway. So the bit about, he had the intention to kill him, that's his fetish, that they might have thought that that's too much of a burden to bear. They probably didn't pursue that in courts. But if you look at all the history of the things he gathered, some witnesses have come and say that has happened to them before. when he just like, it was just like a domestic thing, and he just came in and pinned that guy's neck down when the mother was even begging for the guy to be released. And this guy also almost died due to that same method as well. He's been doing that all over the place, and he seems to like enjoy doing that. Is enough optics to determine that. And that might not be like big enough to like pass in court, right? But it's something.
Yeah, and the charges the convictions that I talked about were from the state trial, but he also had like a federal trial that included other incidents like the ones Jacob was talking.
I certainly agree that you shouldn't put your knee on someone's neck for like 8 minutes, and you especially shouldn't put your knee on their neck after they've been unconscious.
And you especially shouldn't do it while they're screaming, "I can't breathe," regardless of like whether or not you think that's a legit claim.
I don't know. If someone's been yelling, "I can't breathe" for the last hour, and then I put my hand on them and they still say, "I can't breathe," like I'm not going to. It's like going to have no weight on whether I think.
Yeah, if you put your hand on their like arm, right? But if you put your hand around their neck and start squeezing, then it would have some like bearing, or it should at least, right?
Yeah, I guess it depends. I mean, depends on what I'm exactly doing to their neck or whatever. But like, yeah, I mean,
he's leaning on the guy's windpipe, and the guy's saying, "I can't breathe." Doesn't matter if he was doing it before. Like, it could be the case that he was lying before and now he's telling the truth.
Yeah.
Well, there were two autopsies done. The first one was by the official county one, and their conclusion was that he died from a heart attack. That's where you get. They also listed like fentanyl and meth. But there was a second autopsy commissioned by the family, and that autopsy concluded with that he died of asphyxiation.
Okay, so it's conflicting autopsies with. All right.
But have you ever even gotten into why they arrested him? Why he was being placed under arrest? Nobody ever even talks about it.
Yeah, it was they claimed that because of fake dollar bill, like $20 bills, that they said
$100 bills, fake $100 bills. Get it right.
Kick this comedian, guys.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Oh, it doesn't matter why people get arrested and unfortunately die in the process of getting arrested. It doesn't matter. It's an injustice, right? Yeah, the whole thing's a big fucking hypnosis. It's all bullshit, right? Sure it is.
You sound angry, bro. Like, chill out.
I mean, you're the ones who sound angry. You're the ones who are all demented and have no concept of law or justice or criminal science or anything. You're deluded. You're deluded.
Same way. We all sound like that.
This guy's like this like weird character who records. He's just weird.
Yeah, you invited him up. I didn't bring him up, bro.
Yeah,
You brought him up, and then we're like, "Yo, this guy's weird." Like, yeah, that's why I didn't bring him.
I must have a new. No. I removed him. I'm sorry. I didn't know who it was. I just saw a hand.
Sam, we kind of assumed it was.
Different day, different troll.
Right? Yeah. The different things you're talking about. So how y'all two are saying the same thing when you're both saying something different? All right, right here. If you were to ask me the same question and say, if the person's acting on desire or whatever the hell AWOC just said about King, I would say no. And if you were to ask the same question and point out the God part, King would say yes.
You're not talking about the same subject.
Exactly.
Oh my God. This is like you're talking, and it's what Lion said. You're just talking past each other earlier. Like Lion observed that when you were talking to Nathan. It's like you're talking about two separate notions of a metaphysical view that have no relevance on the kind of like outcome of the conversation.
No. Lion is tracking with me, bro.
Yeah. It's not. It's people are assuming that they're talking about the same thing, but they're not.
No, the question was listen. The question was asked the same way, nothing different. Right, but and if they're both say if King assumes that I mean permissible in one sense, and then thank you, baby Nathan. Thank you, brother. From the alley. No, take your time, bro. So there was a question that was asked that lacked a lot of context. So then people...
It's really important to know what someone means before they answer yes or no on something. Are they talking about in the sense of permissibility from God or permissibility through our social and ethical constructs that we created for ourselves? Yeah, I think when you ask King...
That's going to make a difference, right?
It does make a big difference.
No, it does make a difference.
What are you talking about? If you believe in God, right? God informs your worldview. So the people and all this stuff, that shouldn't matter.
All right, so even within the Bible itself, it says, "My ways are not your ways."
But that's fine.
So that would mean in the very self that.
Bro, this is an easy pack up, bro. Let me get
no, it's not. Like, you're so fucking delusional right now.
And the Martian.
Like actually, like Lion. It's like, listen, like we're talking about a meta-ethical conversation about like what grounds permissibility, right? And then both King and Samoa say they're divine command theorists. God's commands are what grounds morality, right? So when you ask something like, what makes the next permissible? They say God makes it permissible. They both said that, right? Like in the kind of dialectic. So when Nathan asks, okay, here's an example of something that can be permissible or not permissible, that's automatically indexed to the meta-ethical conversation we're having. They don't get to like switch their definitions mid-conversation unless they're equivocating. Which well, yes, this demonstrated like either Samoa is one equivocating or two just not affirming the same thing, which is either what like. So Nathan's a visual point.
So Nathan,
hold on.
I immediately answered yes.
Mike, are you there?
Yo,
can we go back to the conversation I had with Samoa yesterday? What did he define the spirit or soul as? Do you remember?
I don't know if he ever did. I don't think I was.
Did you ever ask the question, Mike?
No. I think at one point you wanted to say, and I was like, it doesn't matter. And then,
right,
you were using the requirement as like the soul is the requirement for God, as far as I remember. Right.
No. The claim is you cannot have a soul without God.
Yeah, that wasn't. Yeah, again, you pointed out the circularity there, Mike. But the second point was like, wasn't it the idea that the soul gave you access to God's kind of like the board of God's plan, and you can see the actual pieces moving and like what their actual intent was?
Yes.
Okay, so isn't it? Okay, so when you use it in that sense, that's like an accessibility thing, right? It's not one-to-one God's plan.
Yeah, which is why I was saying, if the people don't have it, they're more justified, because it's like...
Yeah, exactly, right? That came out to like the kind of like epistemic stuff about like how can you change your beliefs, right? Okay, so now Samoa's trying to tell me that he defined the soul as just God's plan particular, not the accessibility to God's plan, right? Now, either one, he's changing his definition again, like he did in the last argument, or two, he just contradicted himself yesterday. Which is like, seems pretty obvious to me that...
No, you're wrong. Again, it's crazy. So when I brought up the chessboard, I said, you don't know what you're looking at without God. And once you understand what you're looking at is the acceptance of God.
Okay, I don't know. I brought up the chessboard, remember?
Right, the 30 seconds to 31, right?
Oh, my God.
You said you don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you said you don't know what you're looking at. And I was like, okay, that's like, that means you're like ignorant beyond your will. Like, it's not your choice. You're staring at the thing, and you genuinely don't know what you're...
And that's why it's an accessibility relation, because once you have God's soul, you have access to the planet. Not the planet. You don't have... It's not the planet itself. It's how you access it.
Don't lead him. You wanted to ask him a genuine question and let
he's right. A is right.
No, he's not right. Let me show you why he's not right.
Than I am, because he's like a better speaker than I am, but like, the fundamental point as to what I was getting at is he's explaining it correct.
All right, so real quick, Mike. The question, this is what I said to AWOC when you weren't here. I said the question that was not asked, right, is, and where I thought that you needed to get to was, is there a point that is between you and knowing God? Or accepting God from like your birth, right?
Is there a point? Okay. You think that I should have asked you that?
Yes. Because if I say that it is written in our hearts and innately God is of our nature, and you would have to choose to decline the existence of God, you could be brought to the understanding or the realization, these other words that we were using, by accepting God. And at this point, you are soulless once you deny God.
Okay, so like, here's the thing. Accepting God is different than belief in God. I don't know if you're just using those words loosely, but the idea was I asked you and you said yes. I said, would they therefore be justified in not believing in a God? You said yes, right? if the soul allows you to see and understand and accept this concept of God, however you describe it, and you are without a soul, you have no choice. And I said, would you therefore be justified in not believing in a God? You said yes.
Yeah. So just real quick, I'm saying that in order for you to obtain this soul, you have to accept God. So you have an empty vessel here if God is not present.
Wait. You don't even know what you're looking at according to you without the soul. The soul allows you to see God.
No, the soul is the vision. God gives you the vision.
So look, you don't know. The belief in God was in question. And if somebody doesn't believe in God, it's they don't see the things that you see. Hence the chessboard analogy, right? The canvas of life, the patterns and all that. I'm looking at the same thing you're looking at, and because I am soulless, I can't see what you see.
Yeah, you can't see God's plan, right?
Correct. So I can't even see the God. I can't see the God in the world. I can hear you talk about it. I hear people talk about dragons. I can hear all of that stuff, but I can't see what you see because I don't have the soul.
Right. That's kind of why I was avoiding like offering like a personal or anecdotal experience on how I came to seeing. Right. So then I gave the idea of like how I came to see something, and that's by accepting God. Yeah, go ahead.
Look, I didn't. When you spoke, I didn't see it as like some type of anecdote that you were referring to. I thought, from what I understood, and I think what I'm thinking was right. You were setting some type of requirement, right? And the first thing I'm like listening to, I'm like, okay, like this requirement is to be fulfilled in order to have access to said God or vision or chessboard. And you don't have what it takes, then you're not doing anything what you're supposed to do, right? Like, so for example, the Calvinists believe that some people are actually born to be an atheist, right? They're acting as mechanisms, right, to fulfill God's will, and they will never, ever, ever have access to this belief in God, nor will they be close to God because they're not with the mark, right? Okay. So it's not too far. Yeah, it's what you're saying to me is not too far off from that, except you're saying, hey, there's this chance by this soul thing. I just didn't understand like how you come to that, which is why I then led it to you don't choose what you believe, right? I don't choose what convinces you, right? Or believe, right? You're just kind of like navigating the world. Things either make sense to you or they don't. That's how.
Yeah, so the way that I was operating was that once you are born, right, you have God. Like, God's embedded in you. It's innately there. And throughout your experience of life, you decline the existence of God. And you're distracted by occupying this empty vessel with, like, castor oil or something like that, right? And then you're on your own individual ambition.
Let me ask you this then. Are you, at that point, before you decline God, do you have a soul?
Yes.
Okay, so then you lose your soul.
Yes.
So the soul doesn't do anything then for you.
The soul is God's purpose or God's plan, or
because you said that you said when somebody accepts God, they therefore get a soul, right?
Yeah.
But before you decline God, you have the soul, which means that you accept God.
Yeah. So innately you have the soul. Then you can decline the soul or the existence of God and go on your own individual journey at this very moment. Or go ahead.
You could do that at any time. Look, if the default is you're saying that the soul allows you to accept God. It allows you to see God's plan, right? Yes. You're saying that the default of the human is that you have a soul, which means that you start by accepting God, right?
Hold on.
Yes.
Hold on, Mike. You see how you do it again?
I can't. You're kind of cutting out. Go ahead.
He said something like, I did something again. Right. And Mike said there's no God.
How about this? As you're talking, I'm thinking about it from a different angle I think this will better help Imagine just being in a completely dark place or out of space, and there's no lights except for the one light in front of you, and you have every option in your existence to go in any direction. But the further away you go from that light, the harder it is to find your way. And at some point in your existence, you may find your way by finding the light. Maybe you could see it off in the distance, and you recognize it.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead, bro. No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying that my position is that. Yeah, so my position is that God is everywhere.
Fucking.
Sorry, bro, but your connection sucks. Damn, bro, that sounds profound, bro. Facts. Word to mother. No. Hey, Mike, you there, bro?
Yeah, I'm here. Lion.
Yeah, so like when you were asking the questions, I think the disconnect was like I didn't know what you meant by like convinced. Do you choose to be convinced? Like that question.
No, do you choose what convinces you? Like, do you choose your beliefs? These things, and that's why I asked you about the moon and the cheese and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, and then my answer would be yes. Like you would choose to either act on your own individual ambition or surrender to God.
Oh, no, but that's not answering my question necessarily. Like, if I made a claim, right? You're either going to be convinced or you're not, right? So, and then you can separate the not by being confused and all this kind of stuff. And I'm saying, if you are convinced of the claim that I made, did you choose to be convinced, or did what I say just kind of make sense to your mind to where it's like, yeah, that makes sense?
Yeah, so I think I was answering that at two different places. All right, so the first place would be yes, I'm choosing to entertain. I'm choosing to entertain the evidence that you're going to offer to get me to a certain point, and then I'm also acknowledging at this very point that I don't know exactly what you're going to say, but I do have to accept it for me to become convinced. Or I could just say, no, all that's bullshit and never become convinced, right?
That's not, okay, that's fine. I understand your willingness, your desire is another interest, actually, because some people, you don't choose your desire. I don't believe you choose your desires either. The willingness to enter. Go ahead, A. You want to say something, and I want to hear what you have to say, too. But you were cutting out.
He did what I said he was going to do, right?
Bro, they doing AWOL bad right now, bro.
Okay.
Sorry, brother. Yeah, they doing him bad, bro.
Hey, just come back in. Just log out, come back.
Yeah, log off and jump back in there, bro. Pause.
No, I had like 3 times. It's just not working. That's not the way.
Oh, no, it's working.
Oh, we can hear you right now.
Go ahead.
Yeah, cool. So he did what I said. Like, okay, number one, he's acting like, number one, God's soul gives you access. Oh, having the soul gives you access to God's plans and intentions, right? Then he also wants to use it in the sense where it is God's plans and intentions, right? But then the idea is something like, how does the object that you're trying to access give you access to itself, right? That seems like a prima facie, like straightforward illogicality, right? Like, I have access to God's plans through a soul, but then God's soul is the very thing I have access to. That seems like you're confusing the definition from 2 separate types of things, right? And that's what I told you he was going to do at the beginning, Mike. And he said that to you on the argument. You understand? Like my issue with.
You cannot have a soul without God. What has changed from that point?
Yeah, but you want to say something that God's plan is simultaneously the soul and the thing that gives you access to God's plan. That seems to be like a logical issue.
No, wait, hold on. What do you mean the soul gives you access to God? God gives you access. You're accepting of God.
Right. But you need God's soul to understand His plan, right? You need a soul to understand God's plan, right?
Like, bro, I've
okay, that's the issue.
We'll use
that's
your
where you're switching the definition. Unless you're switching the definition, right? Because, like, number one, it seems as though, like, you want to say the soul, you were born with access to God's plan because you're born with the soul, right? And then you choose not to believe in God, and you lose access to God's plan, right?
And they're doing you bad, bro. Like, I can't even take this as a win right now, bro. This isn't even fair. It's like somebody's holding his ankle. Sorry, brother. Maybe next time, brother.
You said somebody's holding his ankles and dunking him in the toilet.
Yeah, Mike, did you hear me though? Mike, did you hear what I said?
No, honestly, your phone is unfortunately. I do really want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, like, can you hear me now? Just, like, listen real quick, okay? Number one, you want to see your soul is, like, as one-to-one, the identity relation. The soul is God's plan, right? You get that?
It's light.
No, stop.
Yeah,
the soul is God's plan.
The soul is God's plan.
Okay.
I got that.
Okay, the second point is, like, well, then how is it God's plan if it's a thing that gives you access to God's plan, right? If you're born with the soul, therefore you can, like, you have access to God, and you reject God, and He takes it away, right? How does something how can something give you access to itself in the sense He's using it, right? Because, like, one, it's like, you need it to have the understanding God's plan. The other sense is, like, it's just God's plan simpliciter. He's just changing the definition mid-argument, right? One's an accessibility relation, one is an identity relation.
Bad, man. Yeah.
Hey, what do you understand, Mike?
The plan and the mechanism to see the plan are not the same thing.
Hold on. All right, so God's the mechanism, right?
I don't know. Like, it's up to how you want to describe it. Right?
All right, so I'll just repeat exactly what I said. You cannot have a soul, let's just say plan, without God.
Yeah. Okay, the question was this originally. Can you believe in God if you don't have a soul?
Can you believe in God if you don't have a soul?
Yes, that's what I said. Okay, so that means can you see God's work while you're soulless?
All right. So let's just be straight here, right?
Hold on, you just answered my question directly a second ago. You can do it again. Just do what you did.
I didn't hear that last part, bro.
Can you see, if you don't have a soul, can you see God's work as the same person that has a soul?
No.
Okay.
Never believes in God.
All right. Exactly. That's exactly. So, look, here's the point then. If it's the case that you can't see God's stuff, how can you believe in the God if you are soulless?
Well, yeah.
You can't even see God's work.
Yeah, so you have to believe in God. You have to accept God to see the work.
I know. Look, this is okay. All right. So, suppose your eyeball, right, can only see red and green, and I give you a paper that has red, green, and blue. I'm saying, hey, look, if I install this feature in your eyeball, you'll be able to see all three colors.
That's the acceptance of God at that point. Yeah, that's accepting God.
Prior to that, right? Prior to that, you can't see anything, right? And so
because you've denied God.
No. Right. I'll get that. At this point, the person with the eyeball can't do anything because it doesn't see red. Now, somebody's saying, hey, look, red is on this paper. And you're like, I can't see it. Now, what you're saying is, in order for you to see red, you have to have a soul. Right?
No, you have to accept God.
Okay. No, look, I don't even know what God is. I can't see it.
Switching.
And you're never going to see it until you accept God.
Exactly. So, that's why I asked you initially. If I don't see it, why am I to believe it?
Yeah, if you don't see it, you don't have to believe it, bro.
I know. That's why I asked you a second ago. Am I then justified in not believing in God?
Yeah, so I guess the operating word is justified. Like, justified in what?
Not believing.
Like you said, under your personal standards, because that's the only way you can mean it.
Yeah, so the way that I'm going to interpret... Hey, Mike, so the way that I interpret that is, like, does it make sense why I don't believe? The answer is yes. It does make sense.
Like, can I be... Look, am I at fault for not believing something that I truly just can't see?
Yes.
Okay, why?
Because you're choosing to see other things above God.
I didn't choose anything. Per your own admission, I can't see it.
You chose not to be able to see it. That's the point. It's always been there.
No, look. Just because something's there doesn't mean. Let's check on my eyeball. The color red was
like
there.
like colorblind people.
Yeah.
I just didn't have what it.
Yeah, it's not a choice though, Samoa. You don't choose to be colorblind.
Oh my gosh, this is so dumb. I mean, bro, I'm trying to meet you halfway, bro. Come on, man. If Nathan can just move out the way. I'm saying in order for you to have vision, you cannot have vision or God's vision without a soul. Because God's soul is...
Wait. He just changed the definition again. That's the second time.
I'm walking you right now, bro.
No, look, you just redefined it again. Look, you actually...
How did I redefine it again, though?
Because you went from it being God's plan again to access to God's plan and then switching it back again.
No, God is the access to God's plan.
Right, so then is the soul God's plan?
Yes.
Well, then why do you need a soul to believe in God?
Oh my gosh, this is stupid. You need God. So in order.
No, answer the question. That was a question.
You need God. You need God before you get God's plan. That's what I said earlier.
Why do you need a soul to believe in God's plan?
So I think that you're asking this question. Damn, bro, I don't know what's going on right now. I mean, hey man, I think I've been pretty clear on where I'm at, and I don't want to bog things down. You cannot have a soul, God's plan or God's purpose, without God, and God needs to come first. God should always be first. Damn, what y'all did at AWOC is not good, bro. Say that again, bro.
I was wondering why everybody got quiet. Why don't you take the word soul out?
And just put light? Yeah, just put light.
Because it could kind of give somebody it helps imagine what you mean, because everyone knows what it feels like to be standing in darkness versus what does it mean to come close to a fire or come close to light that's in a room or something. So the further away you go from the fire, the darker it gets in the woods.
Hey, look, Samuel, you're just dishonest if you think
I think that's a wonderful point, Lion. Yeah, so we'll just use light from right now. Yeah, light's good. Hey, AWOC, you good, bro?
No, I'm actually about to block you because you're just being dishonest.
Hey, yo, what?
Dude, you actually got annihilated by Mike and me right there, and you're not going to admit it.
Brother, you don't know what's going on. Maybe you need God in your life.
No, yeah, look, it's not really working out for you that well. The reason why light, you could use light, you can use anything you want. The idea is this: the light is always there, as far as I understand what Samoa was saying. There are moments where Samoa is saying you can't see the light unless you have a soul, right? And I'm like, okay.
No, the soul is the light, Mike.
Oh my God, bro! If the soul is the light and the light is always there, do I always wait? If the soul is the light and the light is always there, do I always have a soul?
Yeah. So just real quick.
That was a question. No, real quick. Take your time. Doesn't have to be quick. I like it slow. Does that mean the soul is always there?
Yeah, the potential of acquiring it is always there. Yes.
Okay, so the light is always there or not?
Yeah, God and the light is always there.
Okay, but the soul is the light now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and God is the light and the soul, right?
Yep.
Okay, so now God is both the light and the soul.
Yeah, God's plan, yeah.
Okay, so when you don't believe in God, you don't have a soul, right?
Yes. You're acting...
So when you don't believe in God, that means...
The light's gone.
The light's gone.
Yeah.
Can you see God when the light's gone? Can you see the light if the light is gone?
If you're too far away, you cannot.
No. He didn't say that. He said the light's gone.
No. Yeah, the light's gone.
No. You can't see the light, right?
Right. You can't see it. It's gone.
And if you can't see the light, should you believe that a light is there?
No, you would have to believe the light's there for the light to be seen.
If you can't see a light,
should you believe the light is there? Yeah, you're just changing the order of events, and the answer would be no.
No, he isn't.
Oh my gosh, bro.
Even
I don't know what's going on right now, bro.
Your answer to
The
these questions is
requirement to
collapsing.
see the light is God.
Yes, and that God is the light, though. But he's also the plan, right? So it's like hyper circular, or you're changing your definition.
Hold on, God and God's light. Okay, cool. God and God's plan. Okay, cool. God and God's soul. Okay, cool. You have to have number one before you get to number two.
When you say have, right? You're talking about God. You have to have God. You're talking about the belief in a God, right?
The acceptance of God, yeah.
But if you don't believe in the God, you can't even accept the God, right? Right?
Yeah, you have to accept something. Yeah.
Correct. Forget about the word something, right? In order to accept God, you have to believe in a God. But you need a soul to believe in God, right?
No.
No. Now
you're just contradicting himself. He's changing it again. He changed it 4 or 5 times.
Dude.
All right, so I'll say this one. Hey, Mike. So I'll say this one more time, right?
Bro, this is the worst I've ever seen him get cooked.
Yeah, hold on. Hey, well, hold on real quick. So I said, you have to accept God before the soul's even a part of the equation. So when he asked me, can you have a soul without God? The answer is no. Because the requirement is God.
Bro, you're saying the belief you said before that you need a soul to believe in God.
No, I never said that.
What do you mean, dog? In just a second.
Well, you literally said that about 5 times in this conversation.
No, you're wrong, bro. You're wrong.
Put that shit in writing right now. Put right now in writing that you do not need a soul to believe in God. Put it in writing right now in the chat. Put it in writing. We're gonna pin you right now.
Wow.
Hold on.
No, my friend. Put it in
man,
writing.
what do you think you got right here, bro? Like, just let me know what you think you got.
I'll tell you in a second. Just put it in writing.
Yeah, I'm saying that in order. So this is what I'm putting in the chat.
I would put it in writing. I'd put it in writing if I was you. If you said, "Hey, Mike, put it in writing," I wouldn't take this as a tactic, like a strategy of taking control. I'm just saying, like, pin yourself right now. You just said a second ago you do not need a soul to believe in God. I'm saying put that in writing so you can't fumble backwards. Are you willing to do it?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Put it in writing. Put it in writing. Okay. And then after that we'll continue the conversation.
So what was it again? It was
You said it.
What was it again?
You said you do not need a soul to believe in God, right?
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. I said that you cannot.
Wait, is that?
Yeah, hold on real quick. That you cannot have a soul, or the soul is not there if you don't accept God.
Bro, I'm gonna ask you. Oh my God. Okay. Look, do you need a soul to believe in God? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. Put that in writing. You do not need a soul to believe in God. Put that in writing.
Wait, it's accept God, right?
I didn't say accept God. I said
that's what I'm saying. Accept God.
Look, this is what I said. In order to accept something, you have to believe in it first. Remember that?
All right, so we agree there. So that's what I'm going to write down.
No. Do you need a soul to believe in God? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yeah, you don't need a soul. You don't have a soul until you accept God.
Do you need a soul to believe in God? Yes or no?
I just said no.
Okay, put that in writing. You do not need a soul to believe in God.
Yeah, you're absent of a soul until you accept God. Like, why are we saying that?
Look, you're like, this is so funny, dude. I cannot believe, like, what you're doing right now, bro. Look.
Jay, what is happening right now, bro?
I'll tell you in a second. All right. Accommodate me. I'm a rookie, right? Just put in writing right now. One does not need a soul to believe in God. Because you just said that. Okay? And I'm going to look at this real quick. Hold up. I don't see it.
I'm happy you're the one to do this because he wasn't taking anything I said seriously at all this whole time I was explaining this.
It's just fun. Okay. He should accept this guy right here. He's still doing the accepting. Okay, how about this, Samoa? How about this, Samoa? Okay, how about this? Can you accept something that you don't believe in?
No, so you always have God at the very beginning.
My man.
You can decline God.
Okay, look, fine.
Right.
Can you accept something that you don't believe in?
Can you? Yeah, so I wouldn't accept anything I didn't believe in.
I know you wouldn't. Can one accept something they don't believe in?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So that means you can accept God when you don't believe in God, right?
No. It's impossible.
No. Yeah. It's impossible, right?
Yeah.
So meaning belief is a requirement of acceptance, right?
Yeah, you would have to accept God, right?
Belief is the requirement of acceptance. You just said it's impossible to the contrary, right?
Yeah, you can accept something you don't believe in.
Okay, cool.
Right.
Can you accept the God that you don't believe in?
No.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah, what was the point?
You can't accept the God you don't believe in. Acceptance comes second, right? You need to believe first before you accept, right?
Yes.
Okay, so can one believe in God if they don't have a soul?
Yeah, one would have to accept God before receiving a soul.
Yes or no, bro? Yes or no, brother? Can one believe in God if they don't have a soul?
Dude, this is legendary.
Yeah, I just said yes, bro. Yeah.
Okay. So one can believe in God if they don't have the soul, right? Put that in writing. One can believe in God if they don't have the soul. Put that in writing. Don't use accept. Put belief. What, dog?
Yeah,
bro. Don't
I think the problem here is that I said
there's no. I know what your problem is, bro. And I don't have.
Yeah, what's the problem? Yeah, what's the problem?
Come on, some more. You got to stick down on one argument. That's right. Listen, it's okay to lose.
Nathan,
It's okay to.
Yeah, this is pretty
Hey,
bad,
Nathan, real quick, right? So,
and you know what's funny?
Hold on, real quick, Mike. Wait. I want to make sure that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to make sure that we clear the air here, right? So I said that you have to accept God before receiving a soul. His question is, can you believe in God before or without a soul, right? I'm saying that you cannot have a soul unless you accept God or you believe in God.
Notice how he repeated my question, but he didn't respond to my question, right?
Bro, that's in the answer. You don't have a soul until you accept.
No, then why don't you put it in writing right now? You do not need a soul to believe in God. Put that in writing.
Yeah, you do not. Yeah, having a soul is not a requirement for God. It's the other way around.
Just put in writing, you do not need a soul to believe in God. Just put that in writing. You put the other thing in writing. You put accept. Okay, just put that in writing.
All right, so you do not need a soul to believe in God. All right, cool.
All right. Tell me when it's there.
You know, there's an argument too, Mike, that he'd fall to, but we can talk about that one.
No, bring it up. I mean, this is what this app's for.
I don't want him to move again because he's already moved 5 times. This is wait until he actually gets pinned for once in his life.
Yeah, I don't see it yet.
I just wanted to say really quickly, fuck you, Nathan. All right.
No, thank you. I'm a heterosexual.
Hey, but Nathan, did you finish Black Mirror while we're waiting for the writing? Did you see Black Mirror?
Yes, bro.
I have one episode left.
That's it right there, bro.
Okay, we'll talk about it later, Nathan. We'll talk about it later.
Okay.
All right, so then we're gonna deal with this here.
Okay.
Samoa's playing. Hold on, man. I just did what.
Damn, they kicked me from the room. Only reason they knew I was there apparently was because of the chat.
No, I said. But I'm talking to you. What is your personal issue?
I said that's not my personal issue.
Well, what is your personal issue? Because that's what I asked you for.
I don't know. I live in America. I don't have a personal issue.
Well, if you don't have a personal issue, then what's the problem?
Besides them killing a bunch of people and fucking...
Afwan Habibi, can we just have a little coexistence? It's almost Shabbos. Riboinai Shalom, good Shabbos. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedushanu b'mitzvot david zivanu l'chadik shel Shabbat b'nei Pri Hagafen.
I could have sworn I remember you guys rejoicing on October 7th. So what then? The issue cannot be killing.
That was you, Rabbi. You were the one making troll rooms about the Jews on October 7th. We remember this.
No, I never said that.
I remember you rejoicing. You went into rooms.
I literally said I make money.
October
17th, keep the I do make money. So, but then your issue is not killing. Because if your issue was killing, you wouldn't be happy.
You literally made rooms.
That's like an idiot coming up to the commandments and saying,
I'm just asking questions, man. What is your issue?
The issue isn't killing, it's murder. Like,
no, that's not what I'm saying. Okay, whether it be murder or killing, it cannot be your problem because then, but you're fine with October 7th. So that's not the criteria.
Yeah, October 7th is like an expected response. Why is it?
Oh, exactly. So then killing is like
in my population, they've had their own in the same scenarios.
In my rev
they've dealt it. They've
reacted the same way. Amen.
So your issue is what then? I still don't
get
The problem is you getting triggered for no fucking reason, and you trying to force yourself.
I'm not getting triggered for no reason.
Wer singt es doch auf jenem Breg, wer singt also gehen, doch Streben junge Poet es dici rede ahem.
Where's the problem that you perceive that we're complaining about? That you're
Wer singt dort auf jenem Breg, wer singt also gehen, doch Streben jung Poet es dici rede ahem.
Level, which he translated to his
Spiel mir Zegena, spiel mir a Lied, spiel mir und wer geht nicht mit,
Rabbi, you said you don't dwell on the fact.
When Amos is muting, everybody knows.
roaming and wandering on my destiny, let me roam over seas and lands. Wrapped in night and girdled by the wind, I pace on unfamiliar roads. I left my mother alone at home, the wind paints the saddle and cement. The star falls somewhat and bird quickly burns up. I recognize my life in it.
With the second one.
Bring Cynic up. Bring Cynic up. I'm gonna burn this shit to the ground right now. I'm gonna bring it up. Bring him up. I'm burn this bitch to the ground.
Play for me, gypsy, play. Play and don't grow tired.
Manek was the first one. Janik was the second one. Who is the third one? Who volunteered to also to join them?
Riboinai Shalom.
You will not respect me. I will not respect you. You must understand it. When Amos won the microphone, Amos is speaking and everybody is quiet. Now Jake and Sana send me again and again and again the moderator. Right now they will relax till I finish my words. You will not invite it to the room. After I finish, you can come back and keep on with your garbage.
Jack, go open a room and we will all come to it.
Yeah, go and open a room and
I can tell you I want. You can enjoy jerking each other off in the home.
Spiritually
and intellectually. I know you don't. Eat my ass. I hope they take all you have.
When you understand, the only way is to listen to each other. Also, Palestinians to Palestinians.
They can't.
I'm very ashamed to say that it's become a Palestinian room. This was not my intention. And even Jamal, they only read Palestinian because of internet problems. He cannot be here. So what I want to say, what I want to say is learn between Palestinian, learn to listen. Learn to listen.
They
So
can't.
it could be one
Mike,
speaking,
notice how many you're subjecting them.
and the other, or it can be one big balagan. And I try from this balagan to take the microphone and speak.
Narcissism, man.
Or you go open, or if you want, you can come back. No problem. I finished my. I like Yigal and more Israeli and Shlomi if you want.
You want Jewish supremacy. You have to understand that.
Oh, that's projection, Susan. Look out, Dr. Susan. That's projection. Everybody's projecting all the time. Nobody's listening. I don't think anybody's listening. Everybody's always just projecting or something. I don't know. Maybe coexistence isn't possible because nobody actually listens. Everybody just talks all the time neurotically about everything under the sun. But if you had awareness about projection, maybe you wouldn't just say all these terrible things to each other and you'd have a real conversation. I don't know. That's just me. I'm a comedian, though, so what do I know?
They are simply incapable of having dialogue. I agree with Amos.
Yeah.
Amos, you probably realized that they are incapable of having conversations with each other. So then having conversations with other groups is impossible. They can't even have conversations with each other. That's why they're not unified. That's the whole point. So there's no dialogue.
Yeah, but aren't you a part of the problem, Rabbi? You're Palestinian. And you sound like you can't listen either, and you're always projecting on them, and you're very rude and immature and vulgar, and therefore they are also very rude and immature and vulgar. Maybe you should look in the mirror, Dr. Rabbi, instead of casting dispersions and negativity all the time.
You asked me before, I never saw anyone I never throw out of the room. You say, and you go out. You have to learn also to listen. Wait and listen. I almost never throw out of his room. Never block, never throw out. So don't blame me about things.
I let it go a long time ago, Amos. I'm not mad at you. Or you still going on about this?
Somebody moved to the room immediately and he want to show it as I saw him from the room. You know, from the beginning, it's one big lie.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I forgot about it.
Now yes, I punish you and I examine you also.
Do you want to punish
me? You, you see how I punish you. This is how I punish you.
No.
Now you have the responsibility for the room too. I like you.
Ooh, that's reverse psychology. Very smart, Dr. Amos. We'll see what kind of demon lives inside this man that dresses as a woman. Look out. Let's exorcise the demon.
Amos, you seem to like all the women on this app, not just Kat. I wish I had the pussy so I could get as much attention from Amos as Kat and all the other women get.
Well, you're just a lot like Kat Mach. You actually do have a pussy, and Kat also has a pussy.
Again, that was so funny, comedian. You're hilarious.
Somebody's lying. Somebody's telling the truth.
So, I restrain myself from booting this bitch.
It's a total waste of time.
Exactly, Dr. Rabbi. That's what you do here every day. You waste everybody's time with the same pattern and the same shtick.
I don't like to throw anyone. The only thing I agree to mute or to remove from the audience. You don't throw anyone, you don't block anyone, and you don't give anyone a mod.
I don't have anyone blocked.
No, she's transgender, you know.
Why does Dr. Rabbi always want to kick me from all the rooms? And
all these friends of you and said, give me a mod.
why does Dr. Rabbi want to kick everybody? And why does he LARP around as a rabbi? And why does he have a party hat? Maybe he's neurotic and he thinks he knows the Torah better than everybody. He's a crazy person, I swear. He's so neurotic. He goes on and on and on. He says, I know the Torah better than any Jew. I'm the #1 Torah teacher in the world. Well, Dr. Rabbi, have you looked in the mirror and heard what all the terrible things you say all day long? You're stupid. You're a stupid person. That's my opinion.
How am I saying something wrong?
You say stupid stuff all day long on here. You're here all day long.
I say right now?
I don't know. Go ahead and tell us something interesting. Say something smart.
Nothing. I just agree with Hamas. That's all I said.
Exactly. You got nothing interesting to even say. You're a stupid person who just loves to talk and create dopamine, but you're not actually a coexistence partner.
What a waste of time.
There you go. Go away, little rabbi. Go back to your shul with your little deformed Down syndrome students. Tell us about your illustrious students, Dr. Rabbi, and all the interesting things they're doing with their lives, because you spread so much information on here, so much joy, and so much intelligence. Truly a learned man thou art, Dr. Rabbi.
All I can say, my students are like the sands of the seashore, comedian. They cannot be measured nor can
Hello.
How do you do
Rabbi, you are Rabbi. Tell us the parashat Shavua.
I don't have to do the parashat because I never said I'm Jewish.
So you don't. You are not a rabbi.
I am.
You don't know the parashat Shavua.
You
see, I kick him very easily.
No, you don't, because rabbis are Aramaic word.
We read? Which parasha we read?
I don't have to do parasha because I'm not a Jewish rabbi.
You're not a Jew.
I'm not a Jew. I never
so you're not a rabbi.
I am not a rabbi. I'm not a Jew.
He's an anti-Semitic Jew hater, a self-professed Jew-hating, low IQ bigot. He's a racist and he's a terrorist supporter.
No. You're
I'm a terrorist supporter, yeah.
You're anti-Zionism, so why do you have the Israeli flag? Funny, no?
I have the Israeli flag because I disagree with Hamas, and according to pro-Palestinians, they're not even Palestinian themselves. I'm no longer Palestinian because I disagree with Hamas.
He's denouncing a thing that doesn't exist. There's no such thing as Palestine. How can you denounce what doesn't even exist, Rabbi? You're delusional.
Well, I'm just telling you why I have the Israeli flag. He asked a question, now he got the answer.
I know, but you're not Palestinian because there's no such thing as Palestinian. You're a Jordanian.
Guy to the audience so that we can have a conversation.
Right, comedian is the worst. And his voice
I am the worst, but therefore you must also be the worst if you project onto me. I'm just a mirror. You are the worst.
Okay, dude, whatever.
Amazing. It's beautiful.
That was an interesting conversation because it's very interesting that we're all looking at people through the lens of ideologies, whether you're through the lens of, Rabbi is Zionist or anti-Zionist. He cannot be anything else. And the reality is much more...
I am anti-Zionist.
He hates Jews. He's this anti-Semitic, racist piece of shit, Jordanian, shawarma-eating, kanafa-snorting, cock-sucking, racist piece of shit, annoying person. He's wasted years of people's lives, including his own, on this app, talking about nothing. He's an idiot. He's a stupid person. He's a neurotic banker in Canada. He wastes all his time. They should deport his ass back to Amman.
Okay, so I just sent you down to the audience.
Why did you run away? I want to
date. I don't know.
I love to like my child. I want to have a conversation with him.
I don't know what's going on. But yeah, I mean, I just don't think that people should be looking at everyone through this lens that, you're Zionist or not Zionist, or you're pro-Palestine, not pro-Palestine. There are many people that just want to be human and live life and not be ideologically driven. Just accept the reality that's on the ground, you know?
I agree with that.
If you accept Israel as a country, or you like aspects of Israel, he's a Zionist. And that's not how it works at all, you know?
Yeah, I know. I agree with everything you said. However, he is not wrong when he says I'm anti-Zionist. I do believe that Zionism is a direct attack on Judaism. I believe that. I think it's a hijack of what Judaism is.
Right. I heard you say that the last time as well. Which
some of them agree with me, some of them disagree with me. I don't care.
So where does that leave you, though, in as far as your belief about Israel? Does Israel exists? Is that just a reality for you? Are you I
have no problem with that. I have no problem with Israel existing as a state. I don't think it can be a Jewish state. That's the difference. Zionism is a hijack of what it means to be a Jew. According to the Jewish understanding, or according to the Jewish belief, the Messiah didn't come. But the ingathering of the exiles only happens after the Messiah, and therefore the creation of that Jewish state is dependent and contingent on the Messiah. Therefore, by creating that state, then you are in disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and by definition then, that is a hijack and an attack on Judaism. That is my belief. They can disagree, they can agree. It doesn't matter. I believe the Messiah already came, but I'm just going by their understanding. You see what I mean?
Right, I understand. So your opinion, I'm sure it's not the most popular opinion. Like, do you have a lot of friends that are like Palestinians that share your view?
No, because I'm working with the Jewish understanding of things. I think Zionism is not what you want to do or be if you're a Jew. The only people who say Jews are Zionists and anti-Semites. Oh, the anti-Semites are the only ones other than the Zionists who say Jews are Zionists. That from the get-go should tell you that if you're a Jew, you don't really want to be a Zionist. You shouldn't. It's, again, a hijack of the Jewish identity. That's all it is. If you look into Theodore Herzl, he was the most anti-Semitic schmuck. And at the same time, you'd find Netanyahu, alayhi salam. Netanyahu is saying Theodore Herzl is the second Moshe, which is like Chilul Hashem to the next degree. This is the most blasphemous. He should be stoned for saying that. So, as for the Palestinians, most Palestinians would agree with me when I say that they don't care about the state of Israel existing. Again, the issue is an issue of displacement. So they're like, okay, give us our rights and we have no problem. Well, then the problem is Israelis have no incentive to give us our rights. Because then you go look at these schmucks, you'll find, hey, I don't want to live with these people. You see what I mean? So civilized people like myself won't be able to have the right to return because of the uncivilized people who make us look very bad. That's just the truth. Where are you from, Majid?
Jerusalem.
Oh, you're like me. Alhamdulillah.
Right. It's a beautiful city, but a bit intense. Too intense. So yeah. Did you live there at all, or did you just visit, or what was the?
No, we were kicked a long time ago. Both my parents are from Jerusalem, but I'm not raised there.
Right.
Well, most of the people I know are Palestinian.
I have to go 10 minutes. Stay here. 20 minutes, I come back.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I mean, I'm sure did your parents tell you a lot of stories about Jerusalem, or did they?
On the stage, which may not coincide with the order in which you see yourself on your handheld device. So if it appears that I've skipped over you, worry not. It just means that I see you further down in the queue. I always get to everyone who is in the queue. Unlike many of the other rooms on Clubhouse, in the Critical Thinking Forum, we speak one at a time. We endeavor to not interrupt one another, and we also make every attempt to treat each other with a degree of decorum and respect, even when we vehemently disagree with one another. And for that, I thank you in advance. After people speak, generally speaking, they are removed from the stage to the audience. This is not punitive in nature, but only an attempt to make it possible for yours truly to maintain the queue and not lose my perspective of who's supposed to have an opportunity to speak next. If this happens to you and you want another go at it, raise your hand. Time permitting, you'll be reinvited up onto the stage for a second go. Because we are here from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. New York time, at about 5 minutes to 6, we will no longer be inviting people onto the stage, but at the 6 o'clock bewitching hour, if you are on the stage and in queue, we will go into extra time to give everyone a chance to speak. Denise, welcome up to the stage. I think there's several other people waiting to come on, and we'll make sure you all get on the stage as well. Welcome to the Critical Thinking Forum. We're just over a minute away from getting started. I want to say hi to Alan. And who else? Wissam, Austin, Uncle, who wants to come up to the stage. And Ben, who wants to come up to the stage.
Fuck Gary.
And Carrie with that Shayna Poonam puppy, which I love. Comedian, who wants to come up to the stage. I hope the nickname is not a precursor for something that I will regret. Jesse Howard, good to see you. The other Ben, Dr. Francine, who's been very active, by the way, on the Critical Thinking Forum messenger board
on Facebook, which is linked to at the top. And for that, I thank you and the others. Jet, I actually have somebody here whose nickname doesn't appear, but I will say, opening your profile, Hifri Goo, something like that. Hunter, Ethan, Layfish Lou, did I translate that well? And Noweki, welcome as well to the room. We're going to get started in less than a minute. I always start precisely at the top of the hour because that's just the way I rock and roll as a longtime broadcaster. And we are now at the top of the hour. Welcome to the Critical Thinking Forum. We are here Monday through Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. New York time.
I missed it. He invited
Today
me, but I
we're gonna be
missed
talking
it.
again about tariffs. The specific question, are tariffs creating or eliminating U.S. jobs? And I know we've discussed it pretty extensively. Is that really the purpose of the tariffs, or is it just a negotiating tool in order to get a better balance of trade? But ultimately, the author of the tariffs, Donald J. Trump, has told us all that although there will be some short-term pain, there will be long-term gain, and this will result in manufacturing returning to the United States. There are those who would say, Mr. President, those days are gone. The Industrial Revolution is behind us. We are into a technology revolution. Prior to the Industrial Revolution, there was an agricultural revolution in this country where we had mom-and-pop farms that produced produce that we purchased in our local stores or at roadside stands, and all of those good old days which still exist in certain segments of our certain geographical areas. But we are not that type of an economy any longer, and we are interdependent, and also many of these companies, although they may be based in Delaware in terms of their corporate structure, and claim to be American companies, their responsibility as a fiduciary one to their shareholders, and therefore they're going to do whatever they have to do in order to remain as solvent as possible and live up to those financial responsibilities. And if that means offshoring production, they will. But okay, the idea is you make it so difficult to export your goods to the United States that if you are producing your products offshore, the theory anyway is, the stated goal of all this from the president is, now we'll move manufacturing jobs back to the United States and we will prosper like never before and make America great again. I'm not saying that sarcastically. I'm saying it straightforward. That's exactly what the president claims is the goal of all this. And again, recognizing the short-term gain for the long-term gain, one can interpret that in many different ways. We now have a situation that may go beyond already what many of us have interpreted it as what that means. Many of us have interpreted that as suggesting us, the American consumers, that prices will go up for a while because of the tariffs. But ultimately, everything's going to even out very nicely, and the cherry on top of the pudding will be the jobs that are created in the United States. And they'll be for Americans, ladies and gentlemen. All these Americans whose jobs are being taken away by illegal immigrants. We're getting rid of all the illegal immigrants. And so it'll be prosperity for native-born American citizens who are not.
Fuck Gary.
criminals and are not members of gangs or not raping and murdering people all across the country, as are so many migrants. So goes the argument. But wait a minute. Let's stop for a second. I'm going to give you two case studies about how this is going to increase jobs for Americans, or perhaps not. I posted both of these actually in the Critical Thinking Forum messenger board, the chat that is linked to the top. And many people posted many other things on a varying range of topics that are of interest to this group. And so I encourage you to click on it, join it, participate. If you feel like it, just read it. If you feel like it, all is good. But it's there for your use before, during, and after our gatherings here on Clubhouse. At any rate, let me give you these two case studies. And again, these are anecdotal, but I think in the second case, significant, and in the first case, perhaps reflective of what's going on. So, I will tell you that I'm on LinkedIn, and the reason I mention that is that's supposed to be a business-to-business kind of social media forum, and in my case, because of what I do for a living, people befriend me or contact me on LinkedIn because they're trying to get their stories recognized by me or other reporters who are on LinkedIn, and I get pitches there all the time. Lately, many of the pitches are from business people who are being affected already adversely as a result of the tariffs. I am going to tell you about two businesses that I know of. Again, anecdotal. You can put whatever weight into these examples that you individually want to put onto them. And I will then ask the question that's the topic, is whether the tariffs are creating or eliminating U.S. jobs. So the first one has to do with a guy I know who's the CEO of a spice company. And you know, it's interesting because as these folks contact me on LinkedIn, this one didn't. He contacted me through an employee of his. But as people are contacting me on LinkedIn, I'm beginning to recognize that there are a lot of industries that we're not thinking about when we talk about the concept of how these tariffs will help Americans. Like the other day, I mentioned the president of a toy manufacturing company that's actually based in New Zealand, who recommended to me that I recommend to my audiences that if they're interested in buying Christmas gifts for the kiddies, you better do it now. And I didn't know that we might have a tariff imbalance with New Zealand, but he's concerned about his ability to export to the United States. So that's just one example, but that's not the two that I wanted to refer to, because that's a New Zealand company. Let's talk about the whole idea of helping American companies create jobs for Americans. So the Spice Company.
I hope that my book may do something to
this is amazing, but they offer 2,000 different types of spices. 2,000. They're not a retailer. They're the people who are providing the spices to the people who sell them either directly as spices or indirectly as ingredients for whatever it is that they're producing. But at any rate, of the 2,000 spices in their catalog, something I never realized nor considered, and perhaps most of you had not either, 1,500 approximately of the 2,000 comes from China. And many of those, and I don't know what percentage, are indigenous to China. thought that you can change the manufacturing of those spices to the United States was just not happening.
Remember this.
And here's the problem. This guy has run this company. It's a family-owned business for decades. And the way he runs his company is such that the turnover of employees is extremely low. It's a coveted place to work. They have an atmosphere of congeniality. They love working for this guy. They love making money for him, and they love making money for themselves. Today, and I don't know how many employees he has. It's not a huge company. I'm going to say maybe fewer than 100, maybe 50. I don't know. But you know, it's these small and medium-sized companies in the aggregate that we don't hear about that are really driving the economy and providing employment in the United States. At any rate, the very mortality of the company is at stake. Okay, he loves doing what he's doing, and this is why he hasn't retired. But the guy is okay. He's older in life now. He's made his money. If he wanted to retire, if he wanted to shut down the business, he and his wife and his children, who are all adults now, they all, and his grandchildren, they would all do just fine. It's not going to hurt him. And yet he is so worried about this loyal base of employees who are working for him. He does not know, depending on how this thing goes, as a result of the tariffs, which with this administration could disappear tomorrow. Who knows? But right now it is what it is, and he's looking at what he's looking at, and it's the facts on the ground as we see them, and the retaliatory tariffs from China on the United States. Although the president today says we're only a couple weeks away from resolving this problem with China, there will be some kind of an agreement. Okay, I hope he's right. But all we know is what we know right now. And he, this gentleman, who, by the way, was a big Trump supporter, interestingly, he's worried about the mortality of his company, whether it'll even last out the rest of this year. If he can't get his supplies, he can't meet his obligations. If he can't meet his obligations, he loses his income. If he loses his income, he has to lay off the employees who have stuck with him for all these years. Very loyal employees. How often is this being played out in companies across the country that we haven't even thought about? Okay, one of the industries that we have thought about is the auto industry. I have highlighted it repeatedly, especially with regard to our relationship with Canada, because I'm very aware, having grown up in an automotive family. My father worked for Ford Motor Company. Everybody around me, one way or another, was either directly or indirectly affected by the auto industry. I extensively covered the auto industry as a reporter in Detroit. I understand the interdependency between, let's just say, Michigan and Ontario, Canada. Let's leave it just at that. And how tariffs and then tariffs upon tariffs from the other side, as parts go back and forth, as assembled vehicles go back and forth, as partially assembled vehicles. You can see trucks coming across the border with chassis. Were they assembled in the United States, or were they assembled in Canada? The chassis were assembled one side of the border, and then they're sent to another factory on the other side of the border for the body of the car to be placed on top of the chassis. Was that made in the United States, or was that made in Canada? At any rate, I'm very cognizant of that, and I've brought it up repeatedly, the auto industry. Today, the Wall Street Journal reported approximately 2 hours ago that Ford Motor Company had suspended
all shipments of F-150 trucks to China. A direct result of the tariffs. And they got me to thinking as I was trying to determine what our topic today ought to be. On top of, if you juxtapose that with the discussion I had with the Spice CEO yesterday, are we creating jobs? Or are we losing jobs in the United States of America as a result of the tariffs? Now, obviously, the way I pose this question, my concern is that it is the latter rather than the former. But it could very well be I'm not an economist and I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't see the big picture. And if people truly believe that ultimately this is going to create jobs and this is really the great course to take, I want to hear that. I don't want to just hear from people who might agree with me that there's a concern. But I do want to hear from those folks as well. I'm just making the point, underscoring what we said yesterday, that all points of view are welcome. This is not an echo chamber room. A lot of people want to talk. I will start calling people in the order in which I see them, and today that order begins with Scott.
The regular leadoff batter in the lineup, Gary. I'm like, I'm like a leadoff batter. I hustle to the base. I like Pete Rose. Charlie Hustle.
Go to the office. What I do? Just go to the office. What I do?
Because he never bet against.
You know what? You can bet on that. You can bet on
that. Gary is.
Please don't scroll. Only kids can hear this sound. Put this in reverse and tell me what song you hear.
Look, I mean, I listened to a great podcast this morning.
You know what makes me feel pain? If you use my song in a short,
I've never heard of it.
one thing in your house that you spent so.
It comes out of Chicago. I think or Northwestern or something, or Northern University. Great podcast. Larry Summers was the guest. Of course, former president of Harvard, world-class economist. I mean, just a massively insightful guy, particularly on the economy. And someone asked him about this thing about this podcast that needs to have callers and people that interact via online platforms that they have set up for people. So they're like virtual callers, not unlike this show, but not quite as great as the critical thinking. So this one caller basically asked if you're not somebody who's a homeowner or playing the stock market, or having your money in other sorts of, if you're not one of the more affluent people, let's say you're a renter or somebody that isn't in this kind of financial world with a lot of disposable investable income, should you really be worried about tariffs and this sort of stuff? The host said, well, what should we really be worried about? Is it just the price of eggs or what? And Larry Summers said this, to be worried about all the price of all the things you can buy. The Yale Budget Lab estimates that the current program would raise prices enough to cost the average family about $5,000. So that's a pretty substantial burden to worry about. And if that happens, you're going to quite likely get an economic downturn, because if people are paying those high prices, they're going to be able to afford to buy less stuff. And when they're able to afford to buy less stuff, there are going to be fewer jobs. And the whole thing's going to multiply. I'm sure people should worry about the stability and security of their jobs as well. So I think that everybody's got a stake in this. Not just homeowners, not just those with stocks, but all of us who are doing things and buying things in the economy have a stake in the damage that's being done. So yeah, I think that Summers makes a great point that there's going to be wider economic implications to this that are going to be things that he thinks, and so do most economists, are going to cause an economic downturn, not an uptake, which is, of course, is going to mean less jobs and less spending and just less activity in the economy. The other thing, I think that even if he also made another interesting point that the estimates of how the most accurate estimates he said about what the actual part of the labor force that's involved in manufacturing is about 8%. Now he said that's not 8% of all people on assembly lines and putting in screws and bolts and with conveyor belts. About 4% of the people in the industry in manufacturing industries are in marketing and accounting and IT. So are about half rather. So he said it's actually about 4% of the 8% that are actually doing the manufacturing. So 4% of the labor force of this country is involved in actually putting stuff together. So I mean, I just can't fathom. You could quadruple that, which I don't think most Americans want to do, right? I mean, most Americans are dying to go into factory manufacturing jobs, but if they were, you could quadruple that and not be able to keep up with demand that we currently have. So I mean, I don't see how prices are not going to go up. The thing is, they're not going to go up in such a way so drastically. I think that it's going to be all of a sudden American counterparts are competitive, right? I mean, it's going to be a thing where you're just going to pay more, where people are just going to be paying more. It's not going to, I don't think, make American goods more competitive. Chinese goods will likely still be cheaper, just cheaper at a higher price. So the average American, again, putting $5,000, Summers' estimate is, in added expenses into their budget by this, which is basically just a tax on working class people. The other thing, this will be my last point here, but the other thing he said that I thought was pretty interesting, and again, he is not saying at all on the possibility of this creating jobs, just to keep us focused somewhat on the question at hand. But he also said